Hello, do you know how much is 1.3 million PLN? If you wanted to have such sum in cash, a package with such money would weigh about 12 kilograms, and you could buy a lot of things with that money. You could buy a big house, a small plane, 440 tons of sugar, or this Maybach S680, which is not so perfect because sometimes it makes problems with really simple things. For example, I have the impression that in this car you have to be always perfectly dressed, combed, and so on. You can't just go to local market in tracksuit, although maybe you can.
Yeah. I've been trying to take my time, but I can't. No regrets to living fast, no mistakes. This the life we chose, no escape. Just as long we putting food on the plate.
Damn, I forgot a net.
We putting food on the plate. Trying to be great, yeah. Show you who best is my next move. Not like the rest is a chess move. Y'all playing checkers, I send a message. Be careful who you stand next to. Live all day like the last one. Came a long way from the past one.
Driver, open it. How do you recognize this money bag? First of all, we have a typical badge. We have here another bumper compared to S-Class with a huge amount of chrome. What's strange is that Mercedes didn't remove their badge here, replacing it with Maybach's, which would be even more prestigious and distinguished from S-Class. But what distinguishes it from S-Class on the mask is this hump with a chrome leaf. Another things are the dedicated to Maybach optional 20-inch rims, which according to my wife are the ugliest rims in the world, but for me they have something, and they are not cheap. And I can't forget about this badge, which is only on the top version of Maybach, i.e. in the S680 V12 engine. On the rear post you will find a very prestigious Maybach logo. Of course, at the back you have a proud Maybach logo, a model designation, and two big exhaust pipes, which are not full exhaust pipes because real pipes are hidden in the back. Fortunately, there are no dummy pipes on both sides. Here I have a color that does not require a replacement. It is called Roblet Red. Interestingly, all colors in Maybach are standard. You can choose two-color version, but it's not cheap. And the last thing, the length of this car. Maybach has over 5.5 meters, its wheelbase is 3.4 meters, which means that between these wheels you can fit a Smart Forward 2, and it will still be about 70 centimeters of free space. And this is another aspect when this car becomes a burden on your back. Of course, only when you like to drive it, drive it, and not only drive it from the back, because behind the wheel, in a few situations, a good nervous breakdown awaits you. Okay, I invite you to the places that interest you the most in Maybach, on the back seat. So, who would ever think of manually closing the door in Maybach? Here it is done electrically, just like the straps and a lot of other things, because it's just the top of the iceberg. At the back, you just need to push one button to get the lying position. The front seat moves forward as much as possible to increase the number of space for the legs. The seat tilts about 44 degrees, but that's in a moment because first headrest in front needs to adjust. As you can see now, my seat is leaning by 44 degrees, and now you can travel in a really comfortable way. This comfort is improved by various additional features of Maybach, like backrest cushions, headrest cushions, and also cushion for the backrest support. I must say that I feel really good here. Of course, to make you more comfortable, the seats are heated, ventilated, and equipped with massage. But what's interesting, massage doesn't only massage your back and shoulders, but also your calves. The owner of Maybach doesn't always like to show off and sometimes needs more privacy. So of course, apart from the darkened rear windows, you can put a blind on the roof window and sleep here. Because trust me that this seat is perfect for this purpose. As you have noticed, the car is finished with really effective white leather everywhere, and it is not always a good solution, which is shown by this seat, for example, because look how it looks. The car has only driven 2,000 kilometers, and I have to admit, this is not the effect of my shoes. It was like this when I got this car, but I don't want to know how it will look like when this car will have about 100,000 kilometers. Look at the carpets, they are similar to Rolls-Royce. What else do we have here? We have things that you already know from the S-Class. So in the armrest, we have a set of headphones for the screen. You have tables on which you can work while driving this car. In the back, there is also a fridge. And here we have heated and cooled cup holders, which are of course under the electrically controlled faucet. And here we have 2 cup holders and 2 wine glass holders. What I think is the best in the interior is the driving itself. The first thing you want to do when driving this car is, as I mentioned before, fall asleep. Not only because the seat is very comfortable, but also because it's sterile and quiet. The car is additionally muffled, but it also has a noise reduction system. The effect is that you feel like you're driving in a soundproof cabin. I'm not exaggerating in this regard. Another important thing is that Maybach is equipped with body active control. It's not the suspension that was in the GLE. Here the car, in terms of holes or bumps, adjusts each wheel individually to make the car as comfortable as possible. And one more thing affects the comfort. Maybach is equipped with a driving mode, which is not a strange thing. However, here, apart from the usual driving modes, such as Comfort, Eco or Sport, there is also Maybach mode, which is more than Comfort mode. It makes suspension even more loose. It makes the gear changes even smoother, and it makes the car drive in a way that, that it was worth spending so much money for this car. You may think that when I said that in Comfort mode the car becomes even more comfortable, the suspension loosens even more, so the car will swing like a ship. None of these things because the suspension monitors the possible car tilts on a regular basis and reacts quickly to keep the car in the most horizontal position. We're driving in a circle around the roundabout. I have water poured into my glass, and look at these slants, they're really minimal. You have to admit, it's amazing. There is something else in this car that cannot be forgotten, but it cannot be told about from the back of the car. I can't forget about the driving experience because there is a lot to talk about. And I won't talk about systems used here because they are similar to S-Class, and we will talk about that in another video. Here, it doesn't matter if there are line assist systems. What is important is the fact that under the hood, I have a 6-liter V12 with 612 horsepower with a huge torque at 900 Nm. This set makes this monster, which weighs over 2 tons, accelerate to 100 km/h in 4.5 seconds. The top speed is 250 km/h. But it's not the performance that surprised me the most. Do you know why Mercedes has installed this particular engine here? In today's times, we know that smaller units can offer similar performance and similar values. However, V12 engines are famous for their genius work culture, and here comfort comes first. You have no idea how big of a monster is lurking under the hood. You can't hear it when driving. The engine doesn't vibrate at all. This engine just works. It's amazing. And it only increases the prestige and comfort of driving this type of car. That's why Mercedes put such a powerful V12 here, and I thank Mercedes for that. What I can't forget, of course, is the rear axle, which is a very important thing in this car. The rear wheels are 10 degrees out, but they are like ships that bring the container ship to the port. If it wasn't for them, maneuvering this giant in tight spaces would be impossible. And finally, my own philosophical feeling. I was testing the S500 and I was wondering what this car can offer more. What can be more comfortable than in this S-Class? And I will tell you honestly that when I was changing seats to the Maybach, I felt like I was in another world, like it was one step higher in comfort scale. It's hard to explain where this feeling comes from because the dashboard is exactly the same. It differs in a few elements. I don't know, getting in this Maybach, driving it, you feel that you are driving a majestic car which is above the S-Class and offers you even more prestige and even more comfort. Well, it's just Maybach magic.